welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're here, you want the essential insights fast. Today we're cutting straight to something pretty significant happening in digital finance.
Yeah, it's about the recent listing of Bitwise crypto ETPs, right? On the London Stock Exchange.
Exactly. So maybe let's start with ETPs. What are they, in simple terms?
Sure. An ETP, that's an exchange-traded product, think of it as, well, a kind of wrapper. It lets investors get exposure to assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum here without actually, buying and holding the crypto themselves.
So it trades on an exchange, like a stock.
Precisely. It makes it easier, more familiar, especially for certain types of investors.
Okay. So our mission today is to really get a handle on what this specific Bitwise listing means. Who can actually get involved in the UK? And, well, why does it matter for crypto investment over here?
Yeah, and we're focusing just on the announcement itself and what it implies.
Right. Let's dive in. What actually happened? What's the core news?
So the date was April 16th, 2025. Bitwise listed 4 of its crypto ETPs on the London Stock Exchange.
Okay, 4 of them. Were these brand new?
No, and that's quite interesting. These were actually existing ETPs they already had listed in Germany.
Ah, so they have a track record then.
Exactly. And apparently, they're already some of the largest crypto ETPs in Europe. So they're bringing established products to the LSE.
That feels like a pretty confident move, bringing over products that are already, well, substantial.
It does suggest a certain level of market confidence, yeah.
Now, the big question, who in the UK can actually buy these? Is it for everyone?
No, this is really key. These are only available to institutional investors in the UK.
Okay, define institutional for us.
We're talking about the big players, pension funds, insurance companies, hedge funds, that sort of entity.
So not the average person trading on their phone app.
Definitely not. At least not these specific products listed on the LSE right now. It really highlights who Bitwise is targeting with this move.
And that lines up with a quote from Bradley Duke, didn't it? He's the head of Bitwise Europe.
Yes, he said something quite telling. Investing in crypto is rapidly becoming mainstream, and institutional investors increasingly allocate digital assets to their portfolios.
That's pretty direct. It sounds like they see a real shift happening.
Absolutely. It suggests crypto isn't just a niche or speculative thing anymore, at least not in the eyes of these larger institutions. They're starting to see it as a potential part of a, diversified strategy.
A legitimate asset class, potentially.
That seems to be the implication, yeah.
Yeah.
It points towards the market maturing somewhat.
Okay, let's get into the specifics then. 4 ETPs. What's the first one?
First up is the Bitwise Physical Bitcoin ETP.
Physical Bitcoin. Does that mean it holds actual Bitcoin?
Yes, that's generally how these physical ETPs work. They're backed by the actual underlying asset, in this case, Bitcoin.
And this one's been around a while.
It has. It's the oldest of the 4, launched back in mid-2020 in Germany, so it has a decent history.
And performance. That's always the key question.
It's quite staggering, actually. Since launch, its net asset value is up 695.7%.
Wow. Nearly 700%.
Yeah, and it's big. Currently manages about $1.1 billion in assets. Bitwise calls it one of the largest and most liquid crypto ETPs in Europe.
Liquid meaning easy to trade.
Exactly. Easy to buy and sell without massively moving the price, which is crucial for institutions. They also mention it's popular with traders, short to mid-term investors looking for flexible Bitcoin exposure.
Okay, so that's a major one. What's a second Bitcoin ETP?
That's the Bitwise Core Bitcoin ETP. This one's newer.
Newer. How new?
Launched in Germany in April of last year, so 2024.
And its performance compared to the other one?
Still positive, but not quite as dramatic. It's up 33.9% since it launched.
Still pretty good. Does it offer something different, maybe lower fees or...
The announcement doesn't really detail the exact differences, but yeah, typically a core product might aim for slightly lower fees or a different structure. It suggests there's demand for, slightly different ways to get that Bitcoin exposure, even among institutions.
Right, so UK institutions now have 2 Bitwise Bitcoin options on the LSE. Let's switch to Ethereum. What's the story there? First one is the Bitwise Physical Ethereum ETP.
Yes, similar structure, backed by actual Ether. This one launched in early 2021 in Germany.
Okay, so it also has a bit of a track record. How's it done?
This is where things look quite different. Its performance since launch is actually down slightly by 0.4%.
Down after launching in 2021.
Yes, and what's more striking is its performance just this year in 2025. It's down 53.2%.
Ouch. That's a massive drop, a huge contrast to the Bitcoin ones.
It really is. It highlights how different the market dynamics can be between even the top cryptocurrencies.
Any quick thoughts on why it's such a difference? A different market sentiment, maybe?
It's likely a mix of factors. Ethereum has its own ecosystem, DeFi, NFTs, technological upgrades like the merge previously. All that stuff influences its price differently than Bitcoin sometimes. Market sentiment, capital flows. It's complex.
Definitely a more complicated picture for Ethereum based on this ETP's performance.
Yeah.
What's the fourth one? Another Ethereum product.
Yes, the Bitwise Ethereum staking ETP. This is the newest one, launched January last year, 2024.
Staking ETP. So it does something more than just hold Ether.
Correct. It aims to track Ethereum's price, but also generate yield through staking, basically participating in network security by locking up Ether.
Okay, interesting concept. How has that one performed?
Unfortunately, also negative. It's down 40.6% since its launch.
So both Ethereum ETPs are in the red since launch and significantly down this year.
Based on these figures, yes. It's a real mixed bag compared to the Bitcoin products.
Definitely underscores the volatility and maybe the different risk profiles within crypto.
Let's talk about Bitwise themselves. What are they saying about this move and their plans?
Well, they're clearly leaning into the institutional demand. Their statements talk about wanting to continue providing crypto products to meet institutional investors' growing appetite.
So they see this appetite as a continuing trend. Seems so. They also emphasize things like offering secure, transparent, and best-in-class products. They're trying to build that trust factor.
Which is probably vital when dealing with large institutions, right? Security and transparency?
Absolutely. They mention their team having expert knowledge of the market and institutional needs. It sounds like they want to be seen as partners, not just providers.
Like guides in a complex market.
Kind of. And they also mentioned future plans, saying they'll continue to innovate our product range in dialogue with investors.
So they're listening to what the institutions want.
That's the message. They want to create products that fit the specific needs of these big investors as the asset class develops. So maybe more tailored products down the line.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. What's the big picture significance of Bitwise listing these ETPs on the LSC for institutions?
I think it's another clear sign of crypto becoming, well, more integrated into the traditional financial system, at least in the UK.
Making it easier for the big money to get involved.
Essentially, yes. By listing on a major regulated exchange like the LSE, it removes some barriers for institutions that might have struggled with direct crypto custody or accessing offshore products.
So it sort of legitimizes it further for them.
It reinforces that trend we talked about, growing institutional interest and actual allocation to digital assets. But, and it's an important but.
The performance difference.
Exactly. The very different performance between the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETPs shows it's not just one monolithic crypto market. Institutions are likely being selective, and performance varies wildly.
So it could open the door for more institutional money, but they'll be looking closely at which crypto assets.
Precisely. It paves the way, but the journey for investors is still complex.
Okay, so to summarize, Bitwise, a big European player, brought 4 established crypto ETPs, 2 Bitcoin, 2 Ethereum to the London Stock Exchange, but only for institutional investors. This reflects growing institutional interest, even though the performance, especially between Bitcoin and Ethereum here, has been quite varied.
That nails it down pretty well. It's about access, institutional trends, and the ongoing nuances of the crypto market itself.
Which brings us to a question for everyone listening. Given this contrast we've seen today between the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETP performance, what factors do you think are driving institutional decisions in crypto right now?
Yeah, what's most important to them? Is it just potential returns, perceived safety, something else? And how might that change?
Good question. And if you want to dig deeper.
Well, looking into the UK's regulatory landscape for crypto is definitely worthwhile. That's always a huge factor for institutions.
And maybe tracking how their investment strategies for digital assets are evolving.
Exactly. How are they managing risk in this space? That's key.
It certainly is. The digital finance world keeps moving fast, and this is another interesting development to watch. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Good talking about it.
We'll catch you next time.